Do you shut down when you really wish that you could just say what you wanted to say? Instead of giving people the silent treatment, I'm going to let you know what you can do instead. Hello, I'm Stephanie Toma, and I was just in a group coaching session where we explored this very real reality in conflict resolution that a lot of people default to called the silent treatment. So what that looks like is you're in, let's say, an argument with someone, or maybe it's not even that heated. You're just not seeing eye to eye and you stop replying to the texts. You exit the room. Basically, you're letting your actions speak for you. The thing is, if you are seeking to repair instead of rupture the relationship, meaning that you actually want it to continue and to flourish and to be even better versus blow up into a shitstorm, then listen up. The silent treatment is not going to ultimately help you get closer in these instances of conflict when you actually have a real opportunity to get even closer than you were before. And I know for many of us growing up in households where communication patterns were really erratic and we never knew what to expect, and there was a lot of fear associated with even the slightest disagreement, this can feel challenging. Well, what do we do? How do we do it? So I'm here to let you know what you can do instead of defaulting to the silent treatment and also help you understand why you engage in these behaviors in the first place. So, it's a protective mechanism. You are not sure what to say or how to react, but you're not totally trusting exactly how you would or could show up. Maybe you're feeling like, okay, to preserve this relationship, I need to get out of here before I say or do something that I would regret. Or when really, maybe that served you as a kid when you didn't have the emotional resources, you didn't have the intellectual capacity, you didn't have the agency always to really get what you wanted. But if what you want is to not always be right, but to reach a mutual understanding, you do need two to tango. So, first, I want you to ask yourself, is this person emotionally safe? Not just do I feel emotionally safe with that person, because sometimes our feelings can be misleading depending on different early experience that can sometimes color our current reality. But a way that you can gauge if someone you're in conflict with is actually open and ready and willing to engage with you, you can ask, are you open to having a conversation where we both feel heard and then gauge their response? But first, before you even ask that question, I want you to be real with yourself. Are you in that space? Do you need more time? So, one of the best things that you can do instead of your usual default of exit the room, exit the email or the chat, and with technology, you definitely have a lot more leeway. Sign out of that thing. Do not worry about it. But when you're in person, that's when the stakes are a little bit higher. This is when things are happening in real time, and you just walking away could signal to the other person that you don't care about them, or they could feel blindsided, and then they're in this sort of uncertainty soup and they're trying to get out of there, but you're not there anymore. So that can even bring up some stuff in them. If we can help it, let's not trigger other people, but let's take care of ourselves. So, what I want you to do when you feel triggered and you got to get out of there, you can say, I feel. It could be afraid, it could be triggered. It could be angry, whatever you feel, name the feeling. And this isn't to be confused with saying, I feel like you're an asshole. It's like, okay, no, just focusing on you no matter what they did, because chances are either they are equally as triggered or they're sitting there scratching their head like, what's wrong? You're probably dealing with one of the two types in a conflict like this. If there's room for growth with emotional capacity and emotional resonance and learning. But this is like a muscle that you can flex. So the first statement, I feel blank and I'm going to take space right now. Notice how you don't need to map out, we can talk tomorrow at noon. What if you're not feeling like talking about it at noon tomorrow? Give yourself some time and space to process your emotions. We'll talk about emotional processing in a moment, but let's say that you are so rattled, you don't even know how you feel, and you actually know for yourself that you need to go on a journey to figure out the name of that feeling for yourself before you can even in real time tell someone else how you feel. So in that case, You can say, I have a lot going on internally right now, and I'm taking space. And then you leave and you go. And it's not up for discussion. There could be someone that you're speaking with when emotions are high, and maybe they like to process verbally with others. If you know that that's not going to be productive for you and you have a chance of blowing up or a chance of maybe not being heard by them or a combination of the two, then no one is entitled to your time. I don't care if they are related to you. I don't care if you are married to them. No one is entitled to your time. So, you get to not ask for permission. Is it okay if I step outside? You don't need people's permission. You can say this in a way, if you do have the capacity and you're not really fired up, you can say something along the lines of, hey, I'm really not feeling great about this interaction, and I can tell you're not either. So I think the best thing is to take space. So I'm going to do that now. And if it feels true for you, something that can actually help soften this, especially if the space is prolonged and there could be emotional distress for both parties, if it's true for you, say, I really care about you and I'm taking space. And you don't need to say, please respect it. If someone violates the boundary, you can't control their reactions, right? If you say, don't visit me at my house, right? Like it's not a good time. And then they show up and you open the door, that's on you. Because again, we cannot control how other people react. A boundary is not telling someone else to do something or not to do something. That is a common misconception. It's maybe stating a desire, hey, I would love it if you did this. I would appreciate if you didn't do that. And there's a nuance here. You don't want to threaten people and say, if you do that again, I'm out here. There's another way to say it. You can say, again, these I feel statements are clutch. You want to say, I feel, name the emotion, assuming that you can name it, and then say, so I'm feeling this way, so I'm not available to speak with you. I'll let you know when I'm ready. In conflict, sometimes people want someone to come back to them. It can be a sort of interesting interplay, a game of sorts that you may not even be aware that you're playing. So when you do the silent treatment, be honest with yourself. Are you secretly wishing that they will knock on your door and maybe knock a little louder, a little harder, and stay there, for hours on end or whatever the thing is? Sometimes when, let's say, you're working on feeling a sense of worthiness in being loved, that's when you can pull away and it's almost like shutting the door, but then peeking through the peephole, like, wait, are they there? Do they care? Okay, cool. This is about being inner resourced and establishing trust in your relationships with other people that care how you feel. You have to care how you feel first and foremost, and of course, how other parties feel. But sometimes there can be this fear in setting this boundary. I feel blank. And the other person says, who cares? The answer is that you care. And I would like to encourage your standard in relationship to be that anyone that is in relationship with you cares how you feel. If that was not always the case, this can take some learning. So that's why it's so important to have this embodiment piece where you give a shit how you feel first. And that's when you take the time and space to maybe you want to somatically move. Maybe you go on a run, like there's so much extra energy. Or maybe you're feeling droopy and sad and you got to write that shit out. So, whatever you feel like doing, there's no right or wrong way. But if you're totally at a loss and confused, there are certainly best practices like the ones that I've shared. Somatic movement, shaking can be pretty powerful, vocal release. If you're in close quarters with a bunch of people, maybe you don't want to start screaming. That could be alarming. So, screaming into a pillow, doing what you need to do. When toddlers have temper tantrums, they're vilified. Parents are horrified sometimes at, like, oh my gosh, look at the display of emotion in that child. But guess what? If more adults allowed themselves the opportunity to non-verbally express their emotions, not to hurt anyone or anything, but just to, okay, go in your own private space, maybe let out some grunts, kick your feet a little bit, feel your power. Let yourself feel your power and process whatever feels wrong or unwelcome because it's valid. Your feelings are valid. Even if someone didn't mean it that way, it's time for you to really take a stand for how you feel. It's not about getting other people to tell you how much they care about how you feel and how you're doing. That is codependence. If you don't have that care for yourself, it's never going to be enough. So let this be an invitation to you. If you know that you default to the silent treatment, go ahead and start with that one quick sentence. If you don't know how you feel, just say, I'm going to take space. I'm not okay. And then as you begin to gain more emotional control within your own psyche, within your own body, then you can get to a space of getting even more elaborate with naming the feeling and expressing care for the other person. That's how we get to repair versus rupture with people that care how we feel. Feel free to go ahead and comment anything that stood out for you in this video. What is one thing that you're going to do differently instead of default to the silent treatment? Wishing you a wonderfully connected day. Until next time.